Welcome, everyone. I'm super excited today to have Marlon Mc Kenney for the Art Makers Interview series with Oakland Creates. I'm gonna share my screen and ask him to talk a little bit about himself. Can you see the slides?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So I have the bio here if you guys want to do a pause and capture it, but introduce yourself, Marlon, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much, AV. Appreciate for interviewing me today. So, hello everyone. My name is Marlon Mc Kenney. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I'm a creative director, illustrator, author. I've been working in the creative space like my entire life ever since I was a kid. And in 2017, that's when I started Conscious Culture Publishing, where I basically put out African historical fiction picture books of in a lot of diverse historical people in the African community, as well as African American community. And the things that kind of set me off that was a little bit different than what everybody else was doing is I was doing everything using 3D animation. I have a background in like After Effects, post production, like a lot of that stuff. So I kind of brought tools that I learned working in the agency environment to the not only the book space, children's book space, but also diverse and just for my community, just really I had an epiphany years ago when I was working for a lot of agencies and I was doing all this stuff for them. And I was like, what am I doing for my community? And that's kind of why I started doing conscious culture publishing and putting out these books. And then last but not least, because AI has been like taking off so crazy in the last, I mean, really taking off in the last 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I've been working on a animation short film, which should be out probably in the next 3 weeks. So it's called Switching Lanes. So yeah, look out for that. Thanks, Amy.
That's awesome. Awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about the books that you've already published and put
hmm
out. Now, you said that you use a lot of 3D techniques and
hmm
a lot of digital media. These are just amazing art wise. And can you, slideshow decided to put it back up. So talk a little bit about your design style and what technology or software that you're using. But
hmm
it does look like a lot of African motifs. They're just amazing art. Just can you talk a little bit about your illustration and where you're pulling the images from?
Yeah, absolutely. So just let everybody just understand my background. I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. So I do draw or drawn traditionally. I went to the Academy of Art University where I got a degree in illustration. So I am like a real, person, hands-on illustrator that draws and paints, charcoals and watercolor, like all that type of stuff. But these particular books, and I'm talking about the ones to the right. So the Makita, the Queen of Sheba, and Alice in Wonderland. Um, I basically use Cinema 4D. Folks out there know it. It's like a 3D program, as well as there's also software called DAZ 3D, where initially you create these characters in a 3D environment in the computer, so that way you can look at them from different angles, and they're also
Wow.
rigged, so you can also animate them as well. So particularly I've been focusing on African historical fiction because that was something that was influenced me a lot. When I went to school, I went to Long Beach State back when I was 18 years old. I had Black Studies classes, and it really changed my thinking in a way. Because before, I don't know if folks out there are, when you're going to school, they really don't teach you about African
Right.
history. They just focus on slavery and they just focus on maybe civil rights and stuff like that. But there, we have a long, thousands of years of history, of antiquity, of great things that our culture and African people have done throughout this earth to influence everyone throughout this earth. And I just wanted that to come over to kids so kids can understand that and look at it in a new and fun way.
Nice, nice. And so I really noticed like what really strikes me is the contrast or even the atmospheric element to it. So
Mhm.
that is probably due to the 3D art, right? So that you get the real life rendered sort of
Yes.
real realistic spaces. That is just so amazing to me. And I'm just now teaching myself digital art, so this is just all
Mhm.
just mind-boggling to me. Um
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I'm setting these up, just it's not just the character in a scene. So think of it like a real film. You have an environment, so a set up an environment, and then you put the character in the environment, but then also you light it, right? Is it going to be
Yeah.
moody? Is it going to be fun and exciting lighting? And then the great thing about using it in 3D and or at least in using software, you can set up the camera however you like it. So you can have high angles, you can have low angles. Um, and once you have this one character, you can use them throughout the scene. So for me, doing it this process was much faster than drawing and
Right.
painting
Oh,
each
sure.
single frame because I know I've done it. You know what I mean? I know it takes a long time, especially if you're rendering all these little minute details. And that's something that I like is the detail.
And so are you layering the images? Like, so you create a background, a full, like the cityscape I'm seeing to the left. So are you creating that and then layering the 3D characters on top of that? Or is it all created together as one?
Well, honestly, this is where I'm glad these are creatives on the line looking at this. There's a ton of Photoshop too, right?
Okay.
So it's not just 3D. So you can do 3D at a certain point, but then I'll pull it into Photoshop, and if I can do something that's fast, for example, the city you're talking about,
Mhm.
um, that I think that's a photograph. So I put the 3D stuff in the foreground, and then I was like, I just need a cityscape, and then I just maybe put a stock image or something else in the background, so I wouldn't have to create all that.
Nice. And so we talked a little earlier. Can you tell me more about the film that's coming out? You said in 3 weeks?
Yeah, for those on the phone, it'd be August 2025. So over the past couple of years, I've really been trying to wrap my head around this AI thing. As you we were discussing before, I was working a lot in 3D. And when people are starting to use software like Midjourney, for instance,
Yeah.
it's like, wait, I don't need to do 3D anymore. It's like things are changing. So honestly, it was like a whole year where
Mm,
I'm rethinking how I'm going to approach doing creative in the future, whether it's books or it's film or I've had a process I've been using for the past like 7, 8 years, of how I'm doing things.
right.
And it really, like the whole AI thing, it made me have to think different. So with that being said, the software specifically, and I do use Runway, I do Midjourney, but Midjourney has come along so far, especially just in terms of character consistency. And folks out there, all these storytellers, when I say character consistency, I mean from shot to shot, right? You
Mm-hmm.
create a character, and then you, just like a comic book, you want the character to do this and do that.
Right.
Usually in AI, for the most part, what will happen is it'll change it a little bit. It'll change it a little bit, change it. So you're not getting that consistency. But over the past year, it's gotten really good at that. And then with Runway, which does video, animated video, so you can make a still, import it into Runway or now even Midjourney, and it'll animate it for you.
Wow.
And then also it can also track your facial recognition so
Wow.
that you can have your character talk and have dialogue. So I took a step back and I was like, wait, if AI can do all this stuff, I can basically make a movie right now,
Right.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so with that being said, okay, if I'm gonna make a movie, I need to make something that I already have. I don't want to have to come up with the idea. I want something that I can just kind of go with. And so I mean, honestly, I'm older than I look, but 20 years ago, I took a screenwriting class. And in that screenwriting class, I had this idea of this story. And I was like, you know what? I can finally bring that story to life, and it's been really cool. I mean, just in a nutshell, this particular story is for adults. It's not for children, and it's about the Bay Area nightlife and the things that
Mhm.
kind of go on and happen
Nice.
um, in San Francisco with a group of friends one night. I'm not going to give too much of it away,
Don't
and
give it
you can
away.
probably yeah, see
Make
the
them buy it.
trailer.
Make them come see
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to even get into it, but it's very
it.
representing the Bay Area and the quality. just in terms of animation, is so high. It would have took me hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds, like $500,000 to $1 million to create
Probably,
this
yeah.
thing that I've created with hundreds of dollars in the span of months, 5 months, something like that. And it's just amazing. It's been blowing my mind.
That's so crazy. I can't wait to see it. You said it'll be on streaming on the phone. It'll be streaming online as well, or how
It'll
does
be
that?
on YouTube. Yeah, you'll be able to see it on YouTube, on social media. I'm putting it free out there. It's not like I'm charging anything. Um, Honestly, it was kind of a test to see if I could do it.
Right,
Um, and since I started, and when I'm pretty close to being done now, just AI technology has gone so far
right.
that I was doing stuff in the beginning that I'm doing it different now because technology caught up to the things that I wanted it to do that couldn't do 3, 4 months ago.
That's
It's amazing, really
that
amazing.
is that's really amazing. So let's jump into the interview questions. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so we can see your face. So first question, where did you grow up? You mentioned that you're from San Francisco. Were you born in San Francisco? What was that
Mhm.
like?
Yeah, I was born and raised in San Francisco. When I was a kid, I had asthma really bad, so I didn't run out and play with most of the kids. I ended up being inside a lot of the time. For you folks out there, this is before the internet. This was before cable TV. So I was bored. So if I'm bored, what do? I picked up a pencil and a paper and I would draw, 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 draw. And that's where I learned my superpower is art and being creative and storytelling.
What part of San Francisco?
So I grew up in South San Francisco, which is kind of a little bit near the airport. But if folks growing up in the Bay Area, you know that everything's pretty close. So that means San Francisco, South San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, San Mateo, San Jose, Marin, San Rafael, just the whole Bay Area, and really soaking up all the culture from the Bay.
Yeah, one of my other artists that I interviewed, a good friend of mine, Brina, she grew up in South San Francisco.
Oh,
So
okay.
check out her interview. She has some really cool things to say as well.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of AI, I have a question. So do you think art is political inherently, or do you think it has to have a larger statement, a larger meaning when you create it? And how do you feel about the controversy around AI in particular?
That's
A
two
lot.
little questions.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I gotta say that when we're first creating art, it's not probably going to be political because you're just doing something to make yourself feel good. If you
Hmm.
think back of a child in school or in high school or something like that, you have something in your head that you want to express. And you pull out a piece of paper and you write it down and or draw it and stuff like that. And it gives you some type of satisfaction because you made basically you did a magic trick, right? You made the invisible visible, right? And that's kind of the first layer. But as we kind of learn more, and I think as we get older, um, I think we have more responsibility, especially when we've seen things out there. If there's different inequalities or something, I think there's levels to it, right?
Right,
Where you just, oh, it's just for me. Oh, this is my art for me. I'm just gonna throw some paint on the wall. Oh, it makes me feel happy. Yeah, like that's fine and good.
right.
But then there's that other level where, okay, I'm looking down the street and I'm seeing kids getting pulled out of school and sent to weird countries that they are not even a part of. You
Right,
know what I mean? You see some crazy stuff going on, or am I just going to be like, oh, I'm just happy? Or are you going to create something to hopefully have people think,
right.
create some change in society than just focusing on yourself? So that's that piece. And then the other one you were talking about is AI. So what in particular AI? I just is the question directed towards you so specific.
Well, no, I think that, so many people feel like AI pulls from artists' um, portfolios that don't necessarily agree to have their work used as
Mhm.
the basis for the generation of AI images. And so there's a controversy around who owns it and who's able to use it. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the fair use, but just like these are shared images and it's fed the system, the AI generator is
Mhm.
fed by so many artists work that artists have complained they feel like it's using it without compensation. And so
Mhm.
how do you feel about that? I'm sure you have opinions.
Um, I will say that for one piece of that is very true that AI is learning models of other people's hard, original, talented, creative work. I think that's true, but at the same time, I know the planet and the world has changed. And honestly, with the internet and social media, it's a free for all. You know what I mean? It is a complete free for all, and the only way we can kind of, as artists, I just want to be specific, as artists to rise above it is creativity. We've got to be more authentic and more real, and focus on the craft of creating something instead of um, I guess licking your wounds, saying, "Oh, they stole this," and well, if they
Right.
stole your story, come up with two, three news stories. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's horrible. It sounds horrible me saying that, just in terms of theft, but this is how I see it. Remember back in the 80s and 90s when hip hop was sampling records?
right.
I think this is very similar, where it's all about how you're gonna flip it. You can't just you can take somebody's stuff, but you still gotta flip it because they're
Right.
gonna look at it and be like, oh, that's whatever Frank Frazetta. Oh, that's just another Frank Frazetta ripoff or something like that. But regardless, as a creative person, you're gonna have to flip it. It's just gonna fall flat. So that's how I see things now. Sampling a piece here, sampling this, and this to make something new, something brand new that no one's ever seen before.
No, I'm glad you said that because you're the first person who's able to articulate it in such a succinct way. Uh, because I don't have the skills yet. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm learning digital media, so if I wanted to use it, I couldn't. I don't feel comfortable. So someone who's
Yeah.
immersed in the digital world and illustration and using all the 3D tools, I'm glad you're able to speak to that because you are living it, you're doing it all the time. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective, which I hadn't really necessarily thought of, but I'm definitely a hip
Mhm.
hop head. So I'm pro
Yeah.
sampling, but I'm also pro flipping it, like you said, and creating a new sound out of things that have
Mhm.
been sampled. So I think looking at it in the perspective of sort of visual jazz making, like we
Mm.
think of music, is a really, really awesome way to think about it. Hopefully, people give it further thought. Um,
Right.
so my next question, um, so do you feel like your audience has changed as you matured and changed as a creative art maker? I know most of us, like you said, start out with very simple goals and ideas just to make money or express
Mhm.
ourselves. And so our audience has to change. How do you feel like your audience has changed? Has you feel like it's grown with you?
I think the audience in general has changed. One reason is people are have low attention spans now.
Hmm.
Because of social media, very, very low attention spans. People need stuff very quickly. It's like fast, speed, 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 quick, quick, quick. What's what with the newest thing, just boom, boom. That's how people's minds work now. So when I'm creating any type of creative, I do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Um, because people are always on to the next thing. Oh, this is boring, on to the next thing. That's one piece. But with the advent of how kind of what I was talking about before, the AI and people kind of stealing from other people's stuff and all that.
Which has always happened historically, though.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Bootlegs, all that stuff.
No, I mean
Um,
just even Picasso stole from African traditionalists.
mhm.
And you
Yeah,
had
oh yeah, yeah.
the folks in the Renaissance stole from the people before that. Like it's just part of
Yep.
creativity. But I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, exactly. I can go into Louis Vuitton and all that, it's taken from African tribe stuff, yeah, all that stuff. But where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I think the focus now is what I'm really trying to lean into more is just making it very authentic and
Mm,
very real. I'm trying to get more real, more authentic because now people can start to sense more and more of the fake stuff.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You can kind of sense the fake things and people don't want to be marketed to or just have something kind of on the surface. Yeah.
right.
People want to get deep. They want something that's more real and more human. So with that being said, as we move into this AI freaking technology, artificial intelligence and all this stuff, what's real, what's human, what's authentic is where people are going to flock to because everything else is just going to seem so fake, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
you definitely have to. It does make sense. You have to have. I would say this all the time. You have to have your own point of view,
Hmm.
your own story. I think a lot about you know, God, it's I'm losing who it is, but it's a dancer, and I want to say Bill T. Jones was
Hmm.
saying, yeah, that was Bill T. Jones, the dancer was saying, tell your own stories because somebody else will. And you
Yeah.
want to be able to tell your own stories so
Yep.
that your truth can be heard. And I feel
Hmm.
like with now any creative endeavor, music, film, visual arts, you have to be able to have your own point of view. And it, like you said, it has to be authentic.